Welcome everyone to the Tucson Fine Mineral Gallery. My name is Stu Niebert and I oversee the gallery here. Without any further ado, I'd like to introduce Victor Tuzlukov on his presentation of 15 Years of the Artistic Cut. So,
yes. Hello, please come in. Dear friends, I'm grateful to organizers for such opportunity to be here and to share with you my thoughts, my modest works. Actually, I work in two main directions in faceting: precision and artistic cut. I will not tell a lot about first direction, saying just one thing. Precision cut is absolutely necessary if faceter wants to make a real art object. This precision can appear at the technical faceting competition, such as single stone competition in the USA and International Faceting Challenge in Australia. United States Facetors Guild is quite strong, and many cutters here have good experience of participating in this competition. Let me focus on the second direction. We live in very interesting time. It's time of creating new art of faceting. But before continue, let me explain my point of view, what we can name an art. In my opinion, just high precision and great level of mastership is not enough to be called so, as well as using different innovative techniques or disclosing beauty and potential of the stone. Art object must arise emotions and associations in our mind. Sometimes the object itself is self enough when idea is obvious, but it's better to give a name to focus our mind and give us right direction of understanding. For example, some carver created a wonderful dog from the stone, like a live one, when each hair is visible. But is it an art? We watch at this sculpture and see a dog. That's all. Where is an idea? Where is a message of artist? As for me, it is craftsmanship. Yes, the level could be very high, but it's not an art. However, if we just add something, for example, if eyes of this dog are full of suffering, all composition will express aloneness, and we will feel strong emotion of kindness and compassion. This is an art already. Centuries before, until now, gem cutting was just a craft, purposing to reveal beauty and value of gemstone. Nobody thought that faceted gem could be an instrument for disclosing the idea and inspiration of author, like marble for sculpture, paints for artist, and sounds for musician. Of course, stones in general used for carving and mosaic, but a particular faceted gem, never. It's art of the future. And being inside this art, I will make just one look from there and share with you. First experience in this direction was philosophical stone collection, represented here. I have here, after my lecture, I can show you. Gems are unusual. Each of them contains one or more symbols or images in pattern of facets. To make easier understanding of symbols, a parable was written to each stone. This parable arises row of associations in our consciousness, based on the symbols or using it. Each associative row forms some philosophical conception. 10 stones, 10 parables, 10 conceptions. They don't give answers, but set questions. How do the great and the tiny correlate in the space, on the earth and in our mind? How fragile is the heart of our planet? What does touch to perfection give us in the aspiration to creative self-realization? Which way do we choose going to the wisdom? Where is great secret of the universe hidden? The parable outlines image. Gemstone gives a key, but you have to turn it by yourself many times to open the door of cognizing. What did the philosophical stone mean at the ancient ages? It was something transforming any metal to the gold. In this case, metal means our consciousness, and gold its highest state. And this collection of philosophical conceptions, faceted in gemstones, is aimed to help our consciousness to reach definite heights via thinking, understanding, and accepting. The order of stones, as well as their shape, is not random. Let's look briefly at them one by one. Reflection of the Great. Stone contains the image of galaxy, like a drop of water reflecting the world around. Everything is beginning with space, initial expanse, which could be characterized rather than by denial than approval. Drop of life. A white drop framed by spirals of golden ratio from both sides. You see here and here. So the drop of life is arising in the space. Heart of planet. As you see, a star shining on the pavilion, symbolizing the heart of our planet, hidden by the net of parallels and meridians on the crown of the gem. Now, the first drop of life is transforming to the planet. The winner. We see a face of lion looking directly at us. Life on the planet is developing, and in the unity and fight with nature, a man is born. Touching to perfection. We can see the lotus flower as symbol of harmony and beauty. The lowest point of materiality is reached, and ascending way is beginning. A man and his creativity is touching to perfection. Cognizing wisdom. This stone contains images of three religions: Kailash mountain, Christmas tree, and Muslim temple in the center, saying that we can choose any way, striving to wisdom. Feeling a requirement of development, a man is going to the wisdom. World's treasure. Stone shows us a diamond seen in profile from the side, symbol of wealth and prosperity. But a star is shining on pavilion, saying that other values could be hidden behind material ones. And finally, having wisdom, we are reaching our treasure. The eighth stone, birth of the star, means awakening the spirit in human consciousness. It corresponds with Christmas. The ninth gem, great sacrifice. The crucifixion, a cross inscribed to circle inside triangle, means renunciation of material and acceptance the priority of spiritual values. And finally, the 10th stone, mystery of universe, symbolizing recognition that inner world of a man is equivalent to infinity of space and corresponding with resurrection of Christians and enlightenment of Buddhists, when a man becomes conscious collaborator of space creative powers. There are 7 stones of unusual shape, and 3, the sacred ones, are standard shapes. But what do these ordinary forms mean? Square, triangle, circle. D-A-O, the perfect Tao. 3 stages of spiritual way: awakening, renunciation, and transformation. Just 10 years passed since the philosophical collection was completed. There were a few more collections during this time, such as elements, sacred symbols, and other. From all these masterpieces, I want to stop on Flower of Eternity, cut from citrine and finalized sacred symbols collection. I was inspired by drawing of Leonardo da Vinci. I saw similar design by Andrew Brown, but his Flower of Life was much simpler, and each petal was just 4-corner rhombus. I created my own design according to sketch of Leonardo, and added facets between petals to make them more rounded, like this. But I went further. Working on these facets, I changed setting of my machine, adjusted angle and index during polishing. As a result, I got rounded, polished facets between flat frosted ones. I don't know any other stone made using such technique. Flower of the Eternity was included into Guinness Book as the most faceted quartz in the world, and now it took its place somewhere in the Rainbow Collection. Then, in 2018, new ideas started to appear in my mind. That time, I haven't thought about collection of World Heritage. I had a variant of yin-yang design, contained 60 facets. I remembered that Chinese calendar, which in its full circle also contains 60 elements, 12 animals in 5 colors. I made the same 60 sectors on the pavilion, showing them the years of calendar cycle. These sectors came out of the center, where the chrysanthemum was still shining, symbolizing the flower of the one life, which blooms timelessly, being the basis and source of all the existence. Here. At the same time, in the mesh ornament around yin-yang symbol on the crown, I saw the dragon, and the composition was finalized. Somehow, the words arose by themselves, crystallizing the meaning of this composition. Ever-dozing dragon of the eternity reveals his dualist essence from the emptiness, forming the universe. Like the precious flower, the single life twinkles inside. The next step in understanding the idea of World Heritage was made through the contemplation of the finished stone and the analysis of emergent associations. It was an important moment. I will explain why. A truly creative process is what unites a human creator with the Lord, the Creator with a capital letter. We can say that in any creativity, to one degree or another, there is a certain higher component, what the people call the providence of God. Moreover, the person himself, captured by a creative impulse, often doesn't immediately realize the depth of his creation. It takes some time and a certain attitude to better understanding the meaning of the work, revealing in the collaboration of two creators with a capital letter and the small letter. So, it was this time. Contemplation of an already finished stone, tuning it to its wave, helped to see the pattern of the facets not as a collection of images and symbols, but as a kind of complete composition expressing a certain idea. It was this idea from ancient Chinese philosophy that was contained in those words that were written down and quoted by me a little earlier. That is, the stone contained an important element of the cultural heritage of China, one of its philosophical concepts. It was when the word heritage first appeared, and it immediately became interesting to repeat this experience with another country, representing important cultures. For some reason, I thought about Japan. I happened to visit this country twice, 20 years apart, in 1985 and 2005. Both times, an impression was made by inviolability of Japanese tradition. First of all, the reverence for force and fortitude of ancient samurai, and admiration for beauty that can be caught in the fleetiness of current moment. It immediately became clear that asanoha, an ancient Japanese ornament, just symbolizing the combination of beauty and force, could become the basis of this composition. In addition, I truly wanted to capture this flying moment when the sakura, a flower, trembles in the rays of sun. This is how this small flower arose, surrounded by rays from the center to the girdle, and meeting the reflection of the already flown petals at the very girdle. I mean, this. This is how this small flower, The text written to the stone speaks not only about the main tradition of Japan, but also about relationship between the fleeting and the eternal in our world, and in the mind of people. The sakura finishes blossoming quite fast, and the sword swing is invisible, but the beauty of flower is immortal, like the power of ancient weapon. Power and beauty are two faces of one perfection. After creation of the stone, Faces of Perfection, dedicated to Japan, it became clear to me that the idea of new project was born. Then, in 2018, it was named Heritage. It was still not clear how many stones this project will contain and which countries would be included to the collection. It was thought that the stone in the composition of its facets should reflect the most significant part of the cultural heritage of particular country or civilization. For China, philosophy. For Japan, loyalty to traditions. I immediately remembered that long before that, in 2012, I cut a stone symbolically bearing the image of Kalachakra Mandala, the pearl of Tibetan Buddhism, and what is the most significant in the culture of Tibet, if not the Buddhist religion, elevated to the rank of science and philosophy. The great mandala is shining in the small gemstone. A small man is realizing the great teachings. The tiny may contain the grand, being the beginning, the end, and the evolution itself. Religious traditions will continue in the heart and essence stone dedicated to India. Here we are again talking about beauty, but about its other hypostasis, as a great protective potential shown in the Hindu Trinity by God Vishnu and his female hypostasis Lakshmi. Beauty is an end and a means. The ray of middle path, the ray of protection, shines like a treasure in a lotus flower between the rays of creation and destruction, like the spirit of trilingual flame, being the heart and essence of our universe. Symbolically, the power of beauty, as quintessence of the middle way, is precisely expressed by the lotus flower. It's difficult to find anything more beautiful, and it is no coincidence that goddess Lakshmi is holding a lotus in the images. It is the lotus flower with 3 petals and 12-pointed star in the center that is emphasizes on pavilion as a stone. You see this. "Oh, the jewel in the lotus flower," says the great Buddhist mantra in literal translation. And as this deepest symbol of Sri Yantra, the queen of all Hindu yantras, is depicted on the crown of the stone. This one. The next stone was directly related to the previous one. Also, at first glance, such a connection is not noticeable. We talked about the way of preservation, and it is precisely the problem of protecting cultural values that appears before us in the stone Fragility of the Eternal, dedicated to France. The reason for its appearance was the fire that occurred in Notre Dame Cathedral in Paris in 2019. History teaches us how fragile our heritage could be. What has been created and stored for centuries can be destroyed within a few hours. The disproportionately large table facet of this stone is a west window through which the remaining stained glass rose of the great cathedral is perfectly visible. The stained glass window is reproduced with great care and is formed by 977 pavilion facets. By the way, unique technique was used here, which was mentioned earlier and which has not yet been found in the products of other masters. I'm not talking about frosted edges between polished facets, so they will emphasize the pattern in contrast, but the midpoints of these edges are decorated with smallest, also matted triangles, which merging, creating the impression of rounded corners. If the edges were cut with 2 or 3 touches by cutting disc to align the shape and thickness, these corner triangles are applied with only 1 touch at the slowest rotation speed. This is absolutely no room for error. The number of facets in Fragility of the Eternal exceeds 1,000 and amounted in total of 1,154. As we will see below, the number 1,000 plus has ceased to be something extraordinary and becomes a norm for World Heritage stones. By the way, the name of this collection in its final version was approved precisely after French stone. The next one was made according to the drawing of Filippo Brunelleschi, an architect, engineer, mechanic, mathematician, artist, and jeweler, whom Leonardo da Vinci considered his teacher. Among his works, its drawing of Rotonda of Santa Maria delle Angele, which is in his native Florence. The accuracy and harmony of this drawing are simply amazing, and this drawing is the basis of composition of the crown of stone. On the pavilion, we see 3 stars inscribed one into other. They symbolize 3 areas where are harmoniously combined in the work of universal persons: craft, science, and art. When the beauty of artistic images and the accuracy of geometric constructions merge in great harmony, they reflect the versatility of genius. The history of Spain is not simple. At different times, different cultures dominated here, mixing, overlapping, and penetrating each other. And in the stone dedicated to Spain, it's called Crosswork of Civilization, 2 wonderful monuments in 2 unique cities are connected. This is the Alhambra Palace in Granada, represented by star-shaped Moorish ornament on the stone crown, and the internal view of Sagrada Familia Cathedral, the creation of immortal architect Gaudi, depicted on the pavilion. The strict Gothic style is colored with an arabesque, turning into the bright kaleidoscope of reflection playing in the stone. A special impression is made by ornament of the crown, made in frosted lines on a polished surface, not more than 0.2 millimeters thick, continuing one another with incredible accuracy. Here the West meets the East, putting together a unique mosaic of human destinies. Such memories of Spain arise when once admiring at this stone. If we are talking about the Arab East, we cannot ignore the Persian culture, which takes us back centuries and is far from being limited to the territory of modern Iran. Arabian Night opens a small set of few stones dedicated to civilization of the past. What is the first thing that comes to mind when we hear about Persia? Of course, the tales of 1001 Nights are immortal literary monuments, known and loved all over the world. 1001 facets of the stone form a strict and technically complex star-shaped ornament of the crown and step pattern of the pavilion. How many fairy tales are hidden in the Arabian Night? What grains of wisdom are twinkling in its depth. The stone is also remarkable in that it can be viewed not only from above, but also from the side. Then we see the majestic dome of Mir Arab Medrese, which adorns the city of Bukhara in Uzbekistan. Let's continue our journey to the past. Since the time of ancient mysteries, we have been commanded to listen to the voice of the heart, which, like a guiding thread, will help to get out of the mess of farce and problems. The Ariadna's thread is the name of stone dedicated to ancient Greece. On a field of 225 squares, like a chessboard, covering the crown, there is a labyrinth, accurately reproduced from the real Crete coin. On the pavilion, a 12-raised star shines, inscribed in a flower, with white petals, symbolizing the wealth and prosperity of Greek civilization. The meander ornament surrounding it flows like an old Greek melody. Both the labyrinth and ornament are also made with frosted facets, some of which contains 15 separate fragments continuing into one straight line. Giving life, ancient Egypt. You see here, the Echnaton picture from the Egypt with sun. Each ray of this ends with a hand. Giving life, sun giving light to all beings. And you can see a pyramid image on the pavilion, which stressed their idea of this. From the depths of centuries, legends of Kemiland reach us. They tell about the great spiritual sun, which gives life to all beings. The blood and sand stone, dedicated to Roman Empire, concludes the ancient part of this collection. 3 tiers of arches covering the crown of the stone reproduce the 3-story colonnade of the Colosseum, where blood flowed and sand groaned under the blows of heavy horse shoes and gladiators' bare feet. It is hard to imagine places that have seen more suffering than the gladiator arenas of Rome, and history was not made by government decisions in those ancient times, but by the blood of tens, hundreds of thousands of slaves. The hero of film Gladiator was right when he said that the heart of Rome is not the marble of Senate, but the sand of Colosseum. If we look at the stone pavilion, we will see weapons inscribed with frosted facets, swords, spears, and daggers, with which the gladiators of Rome went to the death. The collection is finalized by stone dedicated to Russian culture, the country where I was born and with which my heart is forever connected to. It is the heart, symbol of compassion, self-sacrifice, and readiness to protect and help, that comes to mind when I think about Russian culture. It is no coincidence that on the crown of stone the cross shines over the contour of a heart, and it is no coincidence that a drop of blood stands out on this heart, a sign of sacrifice, suffering, and sorrow. Great heart absorbs the pain of the whole world when it seems that the whole world had risen against him. On the stone pavilion, we see a 9-pointed star consisting of 3 triangles. This is the Star of Inglia, an ancient symbol of Slavic culture, which is the source of the Russian civilization. This is not just the Holy Trinity, but its 3 hypostases, the initial Trinity, the manifested Trinity, and the creative Trinity. three stages in development of mankind in our planet. To summarize, I want to say that all mentioned stones, especially the World Heritage Collection, in my understanding, is an object of art in the full sense of the word. And once appeared, the art of faceting is already developing, and I would like to believe that it will take its place in the cultural environment, along with painting, literature, music, and others. Thank you for your attention. If you have any question, I would like to answer that. Yes, please.
Zirconia big enough to cut 300 and 400 carats.
You mean where I can get such big cubic zirconia?
Yeah.
Oh, it could be very big. At my home, I have about 1.5 kilo, one crystal. Yes, it could be very big, and different colors, including color change. I can add that the full World Heritage Collection can be visible here at AGTA in somewhere in the Rainbow Woods. Yes, please.
Why do you use the cubic zirconia? Is it because of the high dispersion? Or
Why I use cubic zirconia? Sometimes the high dispersion material give me opportunity to disclose my idea better. For example, if we say about stained glass of the cathedral, many color sparkles give us the effect of stained glass. And another reason. First, I cut like a testing stone from cubic zirconia, and after that, I used natural material. And further, I will use more and more interesting material. For example, now I started to cut this collection from such stones like tanzanites, beryls, tourmalines. Next step will be precious material. Why not? Yes?
Yes, first it's an honor to be here. I friends on Facebook for a while. I'm from Guyana, Chicago, Mexico. We founded a society to promote education, economic development, and tourism. One of our fascinations is to picture the younger generations, faceting, cap making, silversmith, and that's just promoting the education. My question to you is, I missed the first part of the class, so I apologize for that. How old were you when you started your first faceting? Does it come from you or other generations from your family where you got from amazing art?
I start. You mean when I start the cutting and how I come to that?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I got initial knowledge from my friend in Russia, and it was quite late. I was not so young. This year is a golden jubilee for me. 24 years correspond with 24 carats of pure gold.
Oh, nice.
It was 1999 when first time I touched stone. I bought my faceting machine, and I didn't touch it about 8 months. I was afraid. Then I started to cut more and more. But the big step was made in 2007, when I take part in faceting competition here in US. When first time I saw at my stone by eyes of judge, it changed my mind. I realized how perfect could be a gem, and after that, I couldn't cut commercially, just precisely. Especially, I want to say about polish. I use a 1/4 micron diamond powder. What does it mean? The scratches after this powder less than half a length of light ray. from 0.4 to 0.8 micron. So these scratches is invisible for light. Surface is so perfect, it either reflect or transmit light, but not disperse. If surface is uneven, light partially dispersed, and we can see reflection of surrounding. It brings some grayish compound and decrease the saturation of stone. I have samples, and I talked about it on all conference I give lectures. If you use light from point source, you can see these scratches. Under daylight, it's invisible. That's why I never use gemological lamp during work. Only point lighter.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Welcome. Any more questions?
When you design some of these, are you doing it on the computer or on paper? Where do you start? You come up with the idea and then execute it?
How I create my design. Yes, I use some applications, Gemcut and Gemcut Studio. I prefer Gemcut, actually, because it allows me to use non-integer indexes. In Gemcut Studio, it's impossible.
You initially start by an image that inspires you, and then you do a hand drawing.
Yes.
And then from the hand drawing, it goes to the CAD.
Yes.
Yeah.
Initially, I draw an image. So first, an idea, an idea transform to image. Image bring me to a diagram, and after diagram, I cut stone. But sometimes I don't use diagram. I just follow the stone. For example, a few weeks ago, I cut nice tsavorite. I named this design the green flame. It was like flame. From the rough crystal, I got 60% yield. So it was perfectly 22.22 carats. Very good number. Yes. Yes.
How many hours do you have into some of those 1,000-carat stones with cutting?
How many hours? It depends on size and design. The largest stone I cut, it was included into the Guinness Book as the largest faceted spodumene in the world, 3,051 carat. I spent about half a year, day by day.
Then I'm just.
Yes. But you know, I met with Gabi Tolkovsky one time in Germany, and I also asked him how much time you spent there for the biggest diamond you cut. It was more than 500 carat diamond. He said 3 years. I can imagine what he can see in the stone looking inside 3 years, day by day. It's just
Out of this world.
yes. It's in the world. And when I cut stone, I try to join my mind with the stone. I try to talk with him. I try to explain him that my work will not make him worse. And I will cut not only him, but myself as well. And we will go to perfection together. In the beginning of my way, I realized that to cut stone perfectly, you should become like this stone. If you cut sapphire, you should become the same heart, the same bright, the same clean. And I always tell to my students, if you cut an important stone, you should turn off your phone escape from everywhere. Nothing else. You should, in worst case, you should be only two, you and stone. In the best case, you should become one.
The key is to meditate while you're cutting and zone
Yes.
only into that.
Exactly.
I took a class with Victor. You know, a very, very concentrated meditative mode that most of us, because we have phones and constant activity, our brain is very hard to focus for the long periods. And Victor has mastered that. He can sit for 5 to 6 hours and literally not talk about anything but facet. And that's the key, is finding that inner self.
You know, sometimes people ask me how you can teach precision cut during the, for example, 7 or 10 days. It's impossible. The secret is I teach not faceting, I teach precision, using faceting as instrument. When you drive a car, you don't focus how much you should push pedal or turn the wheel. You just do it because you focus on another thing, another subject. Here is the same. If you focus on precision, you don't think about how to manage machine. And after maybe half an hour, you already don't notice. You cut automatically. Yeah. Yes, 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 yes. That's why. So, yes.
When you're in the middle of one of those amazing, giant, long stones, you know, when you're in the middle of the cutting process, you know, a month into it, 2 months, whatever it is, are you feeling stressed, or what's motivating you? Are you having fun in that moment, or is it something else?
Between working with gemstones, I can say no such moments. I'm always focused on the stones. Even I'm out of my workplace in the mountains, I also think about it. I imagine some designs. I walk everywhere and always.
So then if you look at the whole process of making a whole stone, you know, after you're finished, if you look back at you cutting it,
Yes.
do you think that you're having fun? Or it doesn't matter about that?
I have fun always, of course. If somebody asks me, which stone is your favorite? How can I choose which favorite from my children? All of them, of course. Yes.
That was going to be my question. Do you have a favorite stone, or are they all your children?
All of them.
You design and you draw and you begin the process. Have you ever said, "Ooh, I need to tweak this. This doesn't quite look what I envisioned"? Has there ever been a time where you said, I gotta change? Or once you start, that's it. There's no change.
You mean, do I change my designs during work or?
Yeah, in the process.
Yes. It's quite often. Because I should follow a stone, especially if stone is valuable, important. I often correct my design according to stone, but I try to make symmetry. That's why I get a good yield from the rough. The average yield I got about 40-45%, but sometimes up to 65-67% from the rough.
One other question. This could take months. Are there days that you can't sleep at night because you're thinking about it?
Sometimes I'm thinking during sleep. When I cut one of my eggs, it's a latest project devoted to Carl Fabergé. At the main show, I will exhibit a few eggs from my new project. When I cut one of them, which also in the Guinness Book as the most faceted stone in the world, it has 3,600 facets. I cut it 2 months, and As I say, I started and I finished in 2 months. So the whole 2 months I was in process, even when sleeping, even when eating and so on. I was thinking about it. I was focused on it. Hello. So, Mike, you have a question? Yes. I will exhibit at the main show, TGMS show, from 9 to 11 of February. You will be here? Okay. Especially for you, I will show. Yes.
I know this is art, but everything has a price. Are they all priceless? Or do they say, you know, this is...
No, everything has price, of course. Yes. But the price is not like ordinary gems. Because when you buy, for example, painting of an artist, you pay for canvas, paints, inspiration of artist, and your impressions. Not only for paints and canvas. When you buy such gems, you pay for material, my work, my inspiration, and your impression. It costs like art objects. I don't sign my gems, but I create special certificate, my own. And not only this, GIA include my name to comment into identification report. They say this stone considered to be cut by Victor, or represented to cut as Victor. So.
But it's actually signed in paper.
Yes.
The way we polish. Well, that's how you identify his stones. It's a certain design and it's polished.
Yeah.
And every facet.
So just like art, anybody would recognize the art
Yes.
of the
If
stone.
you know the artist, you know, like if you saw Picasso and you studied Picasso, you would recognize, same as Victor Stone. If you saw a bunch of stones, same cut, similar stone, you would spot Victor's right away. If you have the, yeah, for sure.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.